be really old, but I feel like the world of small practice amps has changed really dramatically in the last 10 years. I mean, the last practice amp I had was a Line 6 Spider, if that tells you anything. But now there are tons of small practice amps that you can jam your little jammies on and have all sorts of effects and amp models, so you can make pretty much any sound you want. But what if I told you there was one that came with a built-in DAW, native stem separation, over 700 backing tracks and loops, and integrated natively with A2 NAMM and Tone 3000? I think that was my intro. This is the Lava Studio, and like the name implies, it's a practice amp that is driving way outside its lane and pretty much has a full studio built in. It features a 13.3-inch full HD multi-touch display, a 2.1 speaker system with carbon fiber woofer. I don't know if that's a flex or not, but it sounds cool. On the front you have a 1/4-inch jack for your guitar and an 1/8-inch jack for your headphone output. On the back you have 2 1/4-inch jacks if you want to run this out to a larger speaker system like a PA or an audio interface. More on that later in the video. And a USB-C port for connecting to your devices or using the Lava Studio as an audio interface if you so choose. The whole chassis has this matte silver finish, and the design aesthetic is really reminiscent of Apple. Even the touchscreen in the iOS feels like an Apple product. So if that appeals to you, you'll feel right at home here. And you'll also feel at home with the price because it retails for $899 with an optional stand that costs $109. So I have to say, my time with the Lava Studio was really interesting. Although I didn't get that much into it in the video, since it's essentially a laptop and a practice amp all in one, you can load apps natively like YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music onto it if you want. There's also a pure mode that lets you use it like a Bluetooth speaker, and you can use the screen to cycle through different moody backdrops. It's actually really nice. What's up, guys? Do you like the new space? This is actually the first time I'm shooting on this set. I say set, but it's just my office. We are plugged into the Lava Studio. It really is a studio too. I'm not gonna get too deep into the weeds on it, but I do want to demonstrate some of the capabilities of this because it does a lot. The way that I'm recording this right now, I do have a Austrian Audio OC16 mic'd up in front of this, just that way you can hear kind of the room sound, but I am also recording direct out of the back of the unit. There are 2 1/4-inch speaker outputs if you wanted to run to studio monitors or whatever. And if you're looking at this thinking to yourself, this looks like an Apple product. It does, in more ways than one. Like even if you go in here into the settings, does that look familiar to anybody? I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually like that. I enjoy Apple's products. I think they have great design philosophy. You know, essentially what it's kind of like is you have this, it's almost like an iPad interface, and that lets you interface with the device here. Now, if you're one of those people that doesn't like to connect to things with your phone, but you still want the functionality you would have with a touchscreen device, you know, that is kind of what I think is appealing about this. We'll get into that more as we go through this video, but this is a 5150 patch that I dialed in. I need to adjust the gate here on this. I like testing things out by dialing in 5150 tones because I think 5150s in amp modelers are sort of like the pad thai of the amp world. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you go to a Thai restaurant and you order the pad thai and the pad thai is good, there's a good chance that everything else on the menu is good. But if you go there and you order the pad thai and you're like, this is disgusting, there's a very low chance that they make anything else that's good. Does that make sense to anyone else? I don't know why I think about things that way. That's what I think of when I think of the 5150 in amp modelers. It's sort of like pad thai, you know? And this one does sound very good for all intents and purposes. If you look up here behind me, you can see a decibel meter. Now, just me talking, I'm looking at a monitor over here. We're about 70 dBs, something like that. And then when I'm playing this, you know, I tried to put this as close to like my head as possible because in my weird way of thinking, that would make a more accurate reading. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but all of that is to say that we have this thing cranked all the way. It's not very loud. And that's not super surprising to me. I didn't expect this to be very loud, but the reason that I want to get that across to everyone is there is like a kind of misconception with these amplifiers. I've tried a lot of them now. People will think, oh wow, 40 watts, that's gonna be a really loud, I don't know if this is 40 watts, by the way, I'm just using that as an example, but you'll think 40 watts, wow, that's gonna be a really loud amplifier. And a lot of the times with these, you know, small portable type amplifiers, it's just really not that loud. So I just want to convey that to you. That is why the decibel meter's here, so you can get an idea of that. With that being said, we do have a gigantic bass port in the back of this thing, and there is a good amount of low end. I do want to try using this as a Bluetooth speaker here because Actually, the thing that I like most about these type of devices, and you know, this one with its cool stand and everything and its aesthetic really appeals to me in this way, is I like using them actually just as like Bluetooth speakers. Now, with that being said, this offers way more things than your traditional speaker that's like that I'm describing. What kind of things? That's a great question. Let's look. Down here on the bottom, you can see the different things that we do. So when you go in here to Lava Plus, you see a lot of different options. This is like where you would find your lessons or, you know, different things you can learn. I really like that they did this. We'll do slow rock and A minor. But you get the point. Like, it's just backing tracks that you can practice to. I think this is a really cool feature. I'm gonna tie into this more with my final thoughts and like who I think this thing is for, but it's a really smart thing to have a device like this that just includes learning tools, right? That's very important, the learning tool aspect of this, because I think that's part of who it appeals to. We have essentially a DAW. You can do AI stem separation in the DAW if you wanted to, like, you know, load up a track and then take the guitars out of it or whatever. You can start with a groove, you can start with backing tracks. I mean, there's just a lot of options here. I don't want to get too into the weeds on this because it's a lot of stuff and I just want to quickly give you an overview of the things that it can do. But essentially, if we go in here and I have my DAW, you get the idea, right? Like, you have a DAW built into here. It's a very cool feature. So there's a sharing tab. You could share your presets on here. You would download other people's presets. You're gonna see this T3K logo here. That's Tone 3000. And that leads me into our next part of this, which is this loads NAMM. I believe they said they were gonna support A2, which if it's Tone 3000, they probably do, but I just wanna verify that real quick here. I don't wanna talk out of my... It says, as of right now, it actually supports A2 NAMM. And then you have more. You have the Lava Cloud, you have update. Who cares about the more tab? Let's go back into the amp tab here. And I want to load. We're gonna switch that. And I'm going to go NAMM. And when you click Discover More, it will take you to import from Tone 3000. So let's go to Tone 3000 and see if we can find something cool here. Okay, so now we're logged into Tone 3000. Now, if you don't know what NAMM is and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here right now? Why do I care about NAMM? What is this thing? Essentially, what NAMM is it's an open source platform that allows you to create digital copies, essentially, of analog gear. And what Tone 3000 is it's the platform where people can actually share those NAMM profiles. So the fact that it's integrated in here already, if you're a NAMM supporter, NAMM user, you're gonna probably really like this. But you know, it's in here, makes it very easy. You don't have to download it on a computer, hook the thing up to your computer, and then plug it in. I actually really like this integration a lot. Let's just try to find something cool, huh? Let's try this one. Okay, so these aren't my favorite NAMM tones ever. Obviously, you know, with NAMM stuff and it being user-based and open source, the quality of the NAMM files are gonna vary from user to user. You know, it's heavily dependent on the person that's capturing it. You know, what kind of gear do they have? What is the process like? You know, you're just gonna get varying results with that, but I could get into the weeds on this with the NAMM stuff, but we're just gonna go back to the built-in stuff. But if you like NAMM and you wanna use NAMM, it's in here, okay? Let's try the Ingle Savage. I mean, I'm assuming that's what this is. That's what it looks like. Let's actually go to the clean tone on this Ingle thing. I know it's not the cleanest thing ever, but the reason that I wanted to do this is because I kind of want to talk about something here. If you notice the DSP usage up here, we're at 47% with just a gate, the amp, and the cab. The drive is in the signal chain, but I don't know if Yeah, turning it on actually does use more DSP. So one of the things I was concerned with when I first plugged this in was the DSP usage, because it seems like kind of a lot for just a pretty simple chain. However, when I started adding things in here, it seems like the DSP is skewed towards using more of it for the amp block than anything else. We have some compression tools in here. We have drive tools. We have some EQ tools. We have our mod tools, our delays, and our reverbs. I'm just gonna build a signal chain. I'm not trying to make a sound necessarily. So I just wanna fill up this signal chain to see if I can max out the DSP, basically is what I'm going for here. Let's try using Cathedral. Oh, we have a shimmer. I'm a sucker for shimmer reverb. We do have a pitch shifter. Let's throw that in there as well. So in the middle, we're not changing anything. And then if you wanted to go down a couple of semitones. It does have a pitch shifter in it, and the pitch shifter works pretty reasonably well. Okay, so the Lava Studio is $899. You get them through like Guitar Center or Musician's Friend or whatever. I will link them down in the description below if you're interested in one. It is a pretty cool device. It is really neat for what it does. I like the stand too, even though, it's maybe like a little bit wobbly. This is on carpet right now, so take that into consideration, but it's not like falling over or anything. I would say that the stand is doing its job. I review a lot of different guitar gear, and this is one of those times that I actually felt a little overwhelmed by how much this can do, and just, I can't cover it all in one video. That's not to say I felt overwhelmed by using it though. On the contrary, I think it's actually one of the easier to use devices once you get it set up. And about that, when you first start the Lava Studio, it will ask you to create an account before you can do anything. Word of advice, if you use your phone to keep track of all of your passwords and prefer setting up your accounts that way like me, just save yourself the time and set up the Lava natively. I couldn't get the passcode feature to work, and I spent like 15 minutes toggling between the Lava Studio and my email before realizing if I just did it on the device, it takes like 5 seconds. Another small thing that I found kind of frustrating when I was setting up the Lava Studio was the amount of marketing that was being done to me when I was just trying to set up the passcode. I got marketing emails. When you first start the Lava Studio, you get a pop-up getting you to try to sign up for lessons or whatever their service was. And to be honest with you, if I spent over $1,000 on this unit and got all of that marketing right up front, it probably would have annoyed me a little bit. But once you get the device set up and you get all of that out of the way, that seems to be the end of it. I haven't had any marketing towards me while I was using the device after that initial attempt. As far as its main use for a practice amp, it does make it convenient to have all of these elements in one device. For example, having the DAW, the built-in backing tracks, even YouTube if you want to load some guitar lessons, or you can just watch me nerd out on guitar gear on my channel. Whatever floats your boat. But at some point you have to make the decision for yourself if having all of this bundled together in one package is a good option for you. And while I would say this is an awesome tool for beginners that feels like a sleek pro unit, it is $899, which for a beginner or maybe a parent looking to start their kids on their guitar learning journey might seem like a lot. All of that leads me to the most, in my opinion, redeeming quality of the Lava Studio, the fact that it just looks so good. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a guitar amp you could put in your living room without your wife getting mad about. And if you will use all the features and you like the aesthetic and want a device that's not tethered to all of your other devices, this might be a good fit for you. All right, shout out to Lava Music for making this video happen, but more importantly, shout out to you guys for being here with me. I really appreciate it. We are on the second channel. If you like content like this, I'm doing other stuff here on the second channel, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.